before you can do anything, make sure to cover through balls. And this can be said 1,000,000 times and people will still not care. The first phase of your defending is to stop counterattacks. And here you must scan the pitch and see if there are any dangerous deep runs. And if there are any threats, you must right stick switch to the player that is closest to this threat and manually cover off this run. And have around the 1 meter head start to make sure that you don't get beaten by a quicker attacker. And only when this through ball threat is gone, you can start to apply pressure play. But the first phase of your defending is to cover off and stop this through ball to every price. You don't want to concede these cheap goals, they are so dumb. The second phase of your defending is around your box. This is when your opponent has established an attack, and here it is important to always cut the passing lanes. And to do so you must identify the danger, and this will very often be the pass into the box. You don't want the opponent inside there, you want to stop this pass, and it's usually best to use your midfielders for this task and leave your defenders in safe AI positions. And when you cut off passing lanes, you should press down L2 or LT on Xbox for better reach and control of your player. But the big difference from FIFA 21 is that long shots are very dangerous as well. And this means you can't just sit back and cut passing lanes. You must also apply pressure on the ball holder. And the key is to always stay close to the ball holder and to be ready to lunge towards him if you notice that he's about to take a shot or starts to lose control of the ball. We stay close to the ball holder, but we still cut pass lanes and always use the opponent as a reference in our pressure play. The most important thing in your defense is to not be too passive. You want to always show presence and annoy your opponent, but without rushing and giving away free goals. A massive key in the defense is to master the right stick switching, and this gives you an advantage over the opponent as you can quickly close down gaps. And the most important thing is to scan the pitch and try to predict the opponent's next move. With the right stick switch, you can pinpoint exactly which player you want to switch to, and you can switch across big areas. The second type of switching is L1 switching or LB on Xbox, which will always switch to the player that stands closest to the ball holder. This one is good to use in more tight situations, when you for example defend in your box or on the flank. A successful defender is using and mixing both types of switching techniques, both right stick and the L1 switching. Time for one-on-one, and in FIFA 22 there is very rarely need to use a stand tackle button. The key this year is once again to use the L2 jockey button or LT on Xbox, and this gives you high control of the player and will increase the player's defensive reach. What's important here in one-on-one is to not give the ball holder too much space and time on the ball, the same as when we are cutting passing lanes. We use the sprint button to approach the ball holder quickly, but just as we get close we slow down and press down the L2 button to increase the control and start to move a bit backwards to not overrun. If you notice that your opponent is on a very heavy touch, you can just keep running towards him and take the ball back. Look at his touch. If he's under control, step back. If he's on heavy touch, then sting like a bee. A weaker player will keep on rushing towards the opponent no matter what, which will get him punished against the better players. So once again, the key is to slow down and press down L2 jockey just before impact if you notice that the opponent has the ball under control. But there are situations when it's good to use the stand tackle button. The first one is to get a bit extra length on your challenge. If you're lunging towards your opponent and you notice that your tackle needs a bit extra reach. The more you power up the challenge, the longer reach, but also as well the clumsier challenge. Around 2 bars is, as very often, the sweet spot. The second situation when the stand tackle can be good to use is to block shots. This simply gives your block a better reach. But 90% of all times it is enough to just use the L2 button to take the ball back, as stand tackles will in general just make you more clumsy in the defense. So what about the slide tackles? They are the last resort if you have no options left and you really cannot reach the ball in any other way. They give you by far the best reach, but also as well by far the biggest risk. If you miss the challenge, there will be a huge gap in your defense opening up, and very often as well you will concede a goal after missing a slide tackle. The slide tackle is also as well less consistent in FIFA 22 than it was in FIFA 21, so use it only in emergencies. Over to second man press, which is a key feature this year and should be used as much as possible. You always want to defend with support, and this feature gives you this possibility. When you press down R1 or RB on Xbox, you will get defensive support from one AI controlled player. A green marker will appear over that player's head. Second man press this year has massively improved compared to last FIFA, as the AI controlled player will stay tighter to the ball holder and also as well sometimes make tackles if he gets close to the opponent. And this is great to use to apply pressure play on the ball holder while you manually cut off the passing lanes. This feature should be used pretty much constantly around your box and in your pressure play, and it will massively help you here to defend successfully. Keepers are your last outpost and an important part of your defense as well. Make sure to be active with the keeper both on shots and on through balls. Press and hold down the triangle button or Y on Xbox to rush out of the goal to stop through balls, but also as well to narrow down the angle in a one-on-one situation. Keeper's side movement is equally important. To move the keeper, you simply press down the right analog stick and move him towards your desired direction. Most times the opponent will shoot towards the far post, but the key is to not reveal your keeper movement too early.